NHL regular season games as a thing?
Yeah, 84.
Whose idea was that? Was it Greg's?
Yes, he wants more exposure.
Just a little bit more,
he needs
stretch out the season.
He needs more time.
I don't know, somehow the dollar per word ends up better because it's, I don't know, Greg Wyshynski, one of our favorites. I think Greg, actually, I wanted to ask him about this, is the only ESPN personality that we get on a regular basis. It feels like ESPN, I mean, I used to work there. You have to go through all their system to get anybody. But are we just sort of doing an end around with Greg because he likes us or, he pretends to? I don't know.
I sure hope he likes us. It's going to be awkward if he doesn't.
I feel like somebody at ESPN wants us to contact them about booking you.
Well, so I understand today they asked Stephen A. and McAfee, and they were both busy. So then they went to the third most important person at the network, and they were busy too. So then they asked the 905th most important person, and they're like, "Yeah, he'll go on." By the way, I didn't come up with the 84-game season. I just spent 2 months of my life in the last year schlepping back and forth between South Florida and Edmonton. Covering more hockey games is not top of the pops for me right now as far as life goals.
Was that in the wind? It kind of blindsided me. I mean, I knew that CBA negotiations were going on, so I guess anything is on the table. But I don't feel like I'd heard anything at all. Like with the NFL, we're always hearing years in advance, 17 games, eventually 18 games. I don't remember hearing anything about 84 games.
No, I've actually been on this story for a few years now. I wrote about it in 2022 that the NHL was having internal discussions about going to 84 games, and so there's obvious reasons for it, which is you'll make more money with a regular season game than you will a preseason game. And there was a thought that the preseason was too long to begin with. And then there's more practical reasons, which is that if you look at the way the schedule is currently structured, you don't play your divisional opponents an even number of times. There are some that you play more than others based on how the schedule is currently built. So by just adding 2 more games, everything gets evened out. You play your divisional rivals the same number of times across the board. And obviously, when we talk about revenue, there's more money in playing a geographic rival than there would be playing someone from the other conference. So it has a functional reason, it has a financial reason, and I mean, if the players are okay with it, and I know that some say, my God, our bodies are already put through hell, and now you want to add games to the schedule. Then I'm okay with it, and obviously when it's going to be in the new CBA, as me and Kevin Weeks reported last night, then the NHLPA is signing off on it.
Right. All right. Note to self: pay closer attention to what Greg writes. I apologize for not having noticed that.
Do we think we'll detect the difference? The schedule point's good. Like the Sabres would probably like to have Toronto in here one more time, and maybe not Florida or Tampa, but to even that out a little bit, that makes sense. But I'm not sure I'll detect the difference between 82 and 84 myself.
Well, you'll detect the difference in 2 ways. First off, from what I understand, and we'll find out everything tomorrow because it's expected they'll get the CBA ratified tomorrow. Or at least, first thing to notice is we're probably going to start the season earlier. We might start it now at the end of September, 1 week earlier, because we're going to have these extra games. So that's one part of it that'll be an obvious detection. The other part of it is now the Sabres will miss the playoffs by 2 additional games.
So, there it is. There it is.
Well, speaking of the Sabres,
yes.
Dun, dun, dun. What's your read on the Peterka trade, Greg?
My read on it is kind of against the grain a little. Kevin Adams did poorly there. And I think the important thing to remember is there's always context for this stuff. Peterka didn't want to play here. Wherever he was going, whoever got him had to sign him to the contract that was in the neighborhood of what Utah gave him, which is $7.7 annually for 5 years, which is not a cheap sum. So you have that, and then you also have Kevin Adams believing that he has an idea of what the lineup needs, and what the lineup needed was a tough, physical, right-handed defenseman, which he got in Kesselring. He gets Stone, who I think has some upside. And whether this is a positive or a negative, I can't tell you, but it's undeniable that the players that he acquired are going to be cheaper as a duo, not only next year, but probably after they get their next contract as restricted free agents, than what you would have paid Peterka or any of the veteran players that have been rumored to go back the other way for Peterka that in deals that didn't happen. So there's a financial reason for it, a competitive reason for it, and at the end of the day, the same story that we keep seeing in Buffalo, which is guys. So all that being said, just blasting the Sabres for the return on this. But given all that, I think he did okay.
Yeah, we've been on for an hour here, and I feel like both players that they got in this trade serve, to me, a pretty obvious purpose. The question is, what do you do beyond this to replace Peterka's offense? Because I think everything that you just said checks out, right? His unwillingness to be here and be a part of the core, maybe even his shortcomings as a 200-foot player play into that. They maybe weren't eager to commit a big, long deal to someone who, to this point, is only one-dimensional. If the dimension is important, offense. But still, I like the guys that they got, but I need to do something with Bowen Byram and the 9th overall pick or whatever else to find my way to someone that can come in here and score 30 goals like Peterka was tracking toward becoming a 30-goal scorer.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's been a certain overhyping of Peterka. Let's be honest. I mean, I think we know what he is now. I think he's got the ability to become a really good, well-rounded player if he commits to the defense, but there's no guarantee that's going to stick. No guarantee that all of a sudden his goal totals are going to leap, although I do think his numbers will be better, if the Utah power play is better next season, let's say. But I mean, what's his ceiling? Is it Brandon Hagel? Is it Kyrou? Is it what he is now? There's a lot more questions about him than I think a lot of people are willing to admit, because it's fun to just project guys. There was talk about Chicago trading a 3rd overall pick for this guy. Are you insane? We know what he is. He's really good, but I don't know if he's that good.
Right.
So there's a lot of that, as far as Peterka goes. But as far as replacing him, I mean, look, we probably have to have a serious conversation at some point here about what next season is supposed to look like for the Sabres. And if they trade him and they trade Byram and they don't address the goaltending, and if they don't bring in somebody who's going to replace those goals, I mean, are we kind of seeing a quiet tank next year ahead of a really loaded draft with a generational prospect at the top of it?
Oof. Give me a minute on that idea.
Yeah, seriously, I feel like you just kicked me in the groin.
Give me a minute on that one. I mean, Greg, the broad brush with the Sabres is the as we all have decided to put it the same way, players that want to play here. The Sabres have talked about that. Just how deeply rooted is the problem? We can all, certainly Bulldog and I know you can remember this market just being top of the charts, at least in the States, for NHL, for the rabid, loyal fan base. And the team only had to be good, not even insanely good for that. I mean, is it so far gone right now with the Sabres that that's just ancient history and whatever it is, ownership commitment? We're sitting here, and I mean, I'm sure other markets have this too, but this beautiful, sidecar for a hockey facility, Harbor Center, where they practice, and the NHL, visiting teams practice. I don't know. I just wonder, in short, how bad it is.
I mean, it's real bad, but I think it's not unfixable. The biggest issue is the losing. I mean, this is a drought that's historic. I think the last time the Sabres made the playoffs was before the first Avengers movie came out. I mean, it's just gone on for this long that if you're a player looking for anywhere to go in free agency, it's going to be one of the last places you look, because of not only the lack of success on the ice, but also the coaches and number GMs. It's a festering problem, and it doesn't help when guys keep wanting to leave. It certainly doesn't help. I would say the Pegula factor, the money, the finances. We talked about the money they're saving on this Peterka deal with these two guys coming in. Are they going to spend it? Most people would probably say no, because they just haven't in recent years. And so, it's a combination of factors, but I think it all comes back to when you're a free agent, if you've got options, you're always going to choose the option that's going to put you closer to being in the playoffs. You're always going to choose the option for a team that has upward trajectory. And despite the fact the Sabres do have a number of really good young players on this roster and in the system that just haven't shown that they're ready to turn the corner yet, in the same way that, say, like Ottawa has.
Right. Greg Wyshynski, our guest on the Western Hotline, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog at Harbor Center for the 11-day power play. The draft is this weekend, tomorrow night, round one. I hear everybody keep saying that they think this, experiment of having everybody stay home and the draft, sort of isolated like it's going to be tomorrow night in L.A. is a one-time thing. Why did they do it? And maybe if you know, Greg, why are they going to get away from it so quickly?
Well, I mean, they're doing it because that's what I shouldn't say all of them, but a large enough portion of the GMs wanted to do it. And it's the same thing the NBA does. I mean, we watched the draft last night. You see everybody in their little rooms high-fiving each other when they, pick some French guy no one's ever heard of. Like, the NFL does the same thing. So it's not like it's out of the norm for there to be a decentralized draft. It's just that in the NHL, we've done it for so long with the big arena and all the tables and everybody glad-handing each other and having conversations to set up what happens over the next few weeks. And so they wanted to try something different, and I think they've already found that it has challenges and too many downsides. So, I mean, you've heard the same things I've heard, and I've talked to some people that would truly believe this will be a one-and-done thing and that we will be back to a traditional draft format next year. But I mean, that's kind of why I think they tried it and again, like, it all comes back to cost. It does cost a good amount of money to bring your entire staff with you on the road and put them up in hotels and do all that stuff. Depending on what city it is, it could cost a lot of money. But ultimately the experience, the communication, the ability to talk to other people while you're there, and network and stuff, I think it certainly outweighs the money they're saving on this experiment.
Yeah, I guess. Like, that's one thing. I heard a conversation this morning on our station about this, like, that hockey was going to miss having everybody together. Like, this is their big, the finals isn't it? Like, everybody gets together for the draft. Whereas football, for one, like, they have the Super Bowl or the Combine. Yeah. These other events where maybe everybody convenes, so it's not as necessary, but it's also more efficient that way. So, okay, one-time thing.
Yeah, I like the spectacle of everyone being together and the GMs being able to mingle on the floor. Greg, the only issue I've ever had with watching the draft when it's formatted that way, the way it always has been, is every team parading 15 people up to the stage and giving the exact same speech about the greatest fans in the world watching at Pizza Whatever or in the atrium of their building, and congratulations to the Cup winner, and now with the 14th selection in the NHL. Oh, my God!
Here comes a French guy you can't name.
Yeah, right. It just is so repetitive. Like, if they would get a handle on that, like, okay, no more than 4 personnel from the team get to go up, all right? The whole thing gets a little monotonous to me.
You're like the Paul Maurice of the NHL Draft. Just make players.
Right.
That's right.
Well, what about, like, moving into, the draft itself here? Like, do you expect, without the GMs all being there, we've seen some trades already, and this big one in Buffalo, involving Utah. Do you think it's going to be a busy 24, 48 hours here, like swap meet time, or do you think it'll be quiet?
I think it'll be busy. I mean, the certainty about the salary cap and where it's going over the next several seasons, obviously has allowed teams to not only, retain their own players, but get a little adventurous about the players they want to add. See Utah with JJ Peterka last night. You have a ton of teams that are trying to move their first-round picks. Basically, everything after around the 6th or 7th pick is in play. And that's not only trying to maybe move up and get a player that they want by packaging picks, but it's also looking out on the outside and trying to get players to bolster groups. I do think teams are going to be aggressive, and I think the other part of it too is that once you get past the first 3 or 4 big names, it's kind of a pretty thin free agent crop too, especially at the center position. And so I think that'll play into it too, where you might not be able to find the remedies that you need via free agency this year. So you might have to get kind of creative and aggressive and find them through the trade market.
What's the scuttlebutt on Marner, as far as you know?
I mean, everybody I've talked to at the Stanley Cup final and in the last few days is it's going to be there. They're work to do financially. I don't know, but everybody's kind of thinking that's the case, and that's interesting for a couple of reasons. One, because it does put him as already won. He's not going to be looked at a year. He can work within the structure of having a bunch of veteran players there that have had success. Like, I think that's a good landing spot for him. The other intrigue is to discuss an old friend of yours, is that Jack Eichel is in his last contractual season. And so you wonder, would Marner help keep him there to know that he's going to have a running mate there for the next, 7 or 8 years? Is it manifest destiny that he's going to come back east? There's a lot of people that believe he's either going to play for the Rangers or the Bruins next year. So that's part of the math too. And then if Eichel does leave, well, now you've got Marner there, to kind of bring you along to whatever the next phase of that franchise is. So a lot of people say Vegas. I mean, we've heard LA, we've heard Utah, we've heard Carolina, Columbus, heard a lot of different places, but it does seem, I think, maybe out west is where Marner ends up.
Boy, I would think Carolina would want to be really busy. I mean, they tried to trade for him, during the season, of course, couldn't pull it off. And so they've got a ton of cap room, and they're waiting to do something, I would think, big. And really, who's next? Brock Besser? That's a pretty big drop.
Yeah, John Tavares. I mean, there's some other names out there, but none of them really have anywhere near the impact of. I mean, Marner's a special player. He gets kind of dinged for the postseason performances and maybe some of the attitudinal stuff, but he's a really, really good defensive forward to go along with a guy that can probably get you 100 points depending on who he plays with. So I'm fascinated to see where he ends up, and I hope for him. And I should mention that Anaheim is another place to really keep an eye on for Marner. Wherever it is, I just hope that it's the right market for him, because I really think that he's one of those guys that just got his soul crushed in Toronto so many times that I just want him to go someplace where he can be himself and thrive.